Happy Devil's Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 298, titled Devil's Down, But Not Out. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with PucksandPitchforks.com's editor-in-chief, Nick Villano, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Devils down 2-0 in the series, best of 7, with the Carolina Hurricanes. Right now, some Devils fans are on the ledge. Some are overly positive. Most of us are kind of, well, we still believe there is some hope out there. But now it's either put up or shut up for games 3 and 4 to get back even in this series.
Yeah, here's the thing, and it's the old trope, right? That don't panic unless the home team loses. Carolina is stupendous at home. They're just really good at home. Not very good on the road. Actually, I think they're 500 on the road. And they lose to good and bad teams on the road. So, what I saw from the New Jersey Devils last night was a good team. And, the frustrating part is that it's what we've seen all season where the Devils play really well and they lose because the other team's goalie has an out-of-body performance. It's just out of their mind, play well above their namesake and their what they're supposed to be. Freddie Anderson's a good goalie, but the last 2 games have been kind of stupid. He should have allowed 2 or 3 goals at least. So to only allow once in both those performances, especially from a guy who hasn't been playing back to back. So there's so much, there's the Meyer chance that hopped over his stick. I still think he should have. You got to know what the puck is doing when there's a wide open net. And I see it all the time. Guys just get excited. They just swing for the fences. It's I just got to quickly do it before the goalie adjusts. But you got to understand the situation when you're making that much money. You just have a higher expectation. You have to know that the puck is bouncing. You have to know that Anderson is completely out of position and is kind of skating Looney Tunes style, where he just can't get a skate under him. He's just fidgeting. He's never going to get over. You have time to just settle down, take a breath, and shoot the puck. Justin Dowling had an incredible chance where he had a spin around shot. Nathan Bastian had an incredible chance. There's a couple other guys where it just over and over and over again. The Devils had a good shot on Anderson. They just couldn't score. There was another one. Was it Heischer had a wide open net and just missed the puck? Or no, it was Palat. I think it was Palat. But I feel like more people would be mad at Palat now. No, I'm second guessing it. But there's another wide open chance. Devils just kind of mishandled the puck. Stefan Nason had a shot in close that didn't go. I think Paul Cotter had a really good shot in close, didn't go. The Devils had chance after chance after chance after chance. It just didn't work out. But you could say the same for the Hurricanes. Brett Pesce made a fantastic save. You know what I mean? Brett Pesce actually he used his stick to get the puck out of the crease twice. And then also one time laid on his side and made a save, putting his face in the line. So Brett Pesce is earning that paycheck in this series and really trying hard to beat his former team. But the Devils come back home on Friday. I expect the crowd to be insane. I think I hope to get Luke Hughes back. I think if you had Luke Hughes last night, you would think that his offensive impacts would probably take the Devils to one more goal. And I also think Luke Hughes plays that 2-on-1 that turned out to be a shorthanded goal much better than Dougie does. Mm-hmm. He has the speed that Dougie doesn't have right now. He has the stick that Dougie doesn't have right now. Dougie has a lot that Luke Hughes doesn't have, but he's not good at a 2-1. Like that's just not his forte. And I think that's partially why when Dougie came back, they kept Luke Hughes on that first power play unit because you want to obviously you want to create offense. And he's been doing really good at that, but you also want to have a guy who's really good at breaking up chances, high danger chances the other way. Mm-hmm. So if you get Luke Hughes back on Friday, you get a little bit of rest for Jacob Markstrom too, who's been playing out of his mind. Jacob Markstrom has been great this series. Even with the 3 goals he allowed on Sunday, he was still really good in that game. He saved a goal and a half above expected in that game. So, I don't know what the answer is per se, other than like you got to stop missing the net. And I'm looking at the game and look at the numbers, Sam, and like this is exactly what Carolina was going to be. They just throw the puck at the net all the time and like hope it leads to chances, and it's been leading to chances. Like the Goss's spare goal is just because he threw the puck at the net, the rebound came back out to him, and he scored the goal. Right? He lifted the puck and he scored the goal. That's another thing. Devils have to lift the puck. I feel like they've had a lot of chances where they've kept it like on the ice, where they shut the puck where like his pads are. Right? You got to like lift the puck and make him stop it with his block or his glove hand. So that's another thing that Devils need to start doing, and I think they'll get better results with the goals. But it does matter if each teams are getting their chances, and each team's goalie has come to play. The Hurricanes just have the 2-0 advantage right now. I mean, listen, like I said this after game 1. If you get the third period Devils against the first period Hurricanes, this is going to be a great series. Like a lot of people were poo-pooing this series after game 1, be like, just let it end. Like 1-0, Canes win, just move on. And we've just seen this so many times. We saw this the last time the Devils were in the playoffs. Like the Devils lost 5-1 in consecutive games to the Rangers and won the series. It's a 7-game series for a reason.
You know why, right?
Why?
This fan base is a younger fan base, and they want instant gratification. That's why. By the way, Timo Meier's done it twice already. I believe he did the same thing in the Carolina series 2 years ago. Had a wide open net, puck jumped on him, and missed it.
Yeah. He had an incredible chance in game 1 that he missed.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I have a theory.
I'm not worried with Timo Meier, because if he's getting those chances and just missing, eventually the law of averages will go our way for games 3 and 4.
My worry is that Timo Meier has like an internal clock that resets when the playoffs start, and to see the Meier of March, you have to get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and like, are you going to be able to get to the East Conference Finals if you get the Meier of October and November? I don't know if you can, especially with this route. I mean, listen, in future years, if you have Jack Hughes in the playoffs, like it's going to be a completely different story. But I'd like to see a little bit more from Nico Hischier. Do you think Nico Hischier played less even strength minutes than Justin Dowling yesterday?
I'm cool with it.
Why?
I don't know. I like Dowling. That's
better than Hischier?
I didn't say he was better, but
wouldn't you want the better player to play more minutes?
It's a 7-game series, Nick. Maybe in the
not the way it's going. It's a 4-game series right now.
Well, I'm not the negative Nancy here. I think a lot of us picked 6 or 7. Mm-hmm. Devils 6 or 7. Nobody picked Devils in 4, 5. And I'll be honest with you, and I hope there's some Caniac fans watching right now. I have not been impressed with the Canes. The only person, maybe the only player I've been impressed with is maybe Freddie Anderson. But how long is that going to last?
That's the thing. I don't know how he's a good goalie, but like I was actually going down to see because I was like, is he a top 10 goalie in the playoffs? And he's like on that cusp. There's a lot of bad goalies in the playoffs. Like, would you rather have him or Stuart Skinner? Would you rather have him or who's the guy in Toronto? Stolarz?
Would you have him or Mac Black? That's a
right.
question.
Yeah. Would you rather him or Mackenzie Blackwood? There's a lot that's the interesting. I was like running down the list, and I was like, it's kind of funny because like a lot of the best goalies in the world aren't in the playoffs. Like Shesterkin's on the playoffs, Sorokin's on the playoffs. Swayman's not in the playoffs. I know he's had a rough year, but he's considered one of the best in the league. Dustin Wolf is in the Rookie of the Year conversation, and he's not in the playoffs. The guys at the top of the list are, obviously Connor Hellebuck, best goalie in the world. But then there's Darcy Kemper, who's a bounce back candidate, but he's also a Vezina candidate. There's Logan Thompson in Washington, who's again he splits time with Charlie Lindgren. Jake Ottinger's a good goalie, but like he's not considered in the Vezina conversation. So it's a weird year for goalies. I would rather have Markstrom than Anderson. I just think Markstrom's a better goalie. But Anderson's playing like the better goal. He's playing like the best goalie in the league right now. So, I just hate this because it's like I've been saying all year. I was like, those just have bad luck. Oh, that's not good. That's not going to get us people listening to the podcast or clicking on pucksandpitchforks.com. But at the end of the day, I don't know how you what more can you do? You get the puck at a guy's feet with a wide open net over and over again. You get these crazy shots where Anderson goes from one side to the other. You get 2-on-1s. You get wrist shots. You get power plays. You got opportunities in so many different ways. And to Sheldon Keefe's credit, their game plan going into the series was terrible. Awful. The game plan for the Hurricanes on the Sunday was to hold the Devils physically. They've seen the Devils play a game where they beat their man by tricking them. They'll skate, they'll take 3 steps forward, and they have the skill to turn on a dime and go back the other way. The Hurricanes' way of stopping this was to just hold them. Instead of running into them or trying to stick check them, I'm just going to hold you. And I'm going to force the ref to call it every time. But if I'm doing it, it's the same philosophy that you have in football. If I'm holding on every play, are you going to call a penalty on every play? And no, you're not. So, and they never called it. And good on Sheldon Keefe to say, okay, I have to open this up a little bit more. I have to play between the dots a little bit more. We have to get our shots from the middle instead of from the sides. We can't beat a guy against the boards because they're just going to push against them or hold us against them. And they have been playing down the middle a little bit more, between the dots a little bit more. And that's where the zone entries are coming from. They've done a better job of not doing. They were doing this thing at the end of the season that was driving me insane, where they would wait, and then try to let a pass develop. But by the time the pass developed, or even before then, the guy was cornering them to where they had just a few feet of space between them, the guy in the red line or the blue line or whatever it was, and it put them in a position where turnovers were rampant. I haven't seen that as much since the second period of the first game. They're getting to passes quickly. They're setting up plays. They're moving their skates. They're doing the right things. And if they do this again, I think they win game 3 and 4. I think they win the next 2 games. But they have to do it, right? It's hard to execute in this league. It's hard to execute in the playoffs. But I think, people are like, oh, how are you going to do it? This roster is terrible, blah, 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 blah. Tom Fitzgerald this, Sheldon Keefe that, whatever. I think that they have really good players on the ice at times. And I'm seeing guys like the fourth line I thought played. Despite here's the funny thing about numbers. I don't want to say I'm on a crusade, but I've been a little bit against advanced analytics this year, just because.
Good. I'm influencing you.
They're just not making sense.
They never did.
Like the advanced analytics said the Devils got dominated last night, and I was like, I don't know what you're looking at. I'm not a guy who's like, my eyes say this, so this is this. No, computers are a tool, right? But it's like using AI right now. Like if I use AI to and I don't do this, I just need to put this on record. But if I use AI to write an article, there would be a lot of mistakes. There would be a lot of misrepresentations. There'll be a lack of understanding of context and social cues. So when I'm using a computer to analyze my hockey data, I also have to understand those same things exist. Like there are miscommunications between the data and the sport, especially if sport's so fast, right? I like the advanced analytics that look at things that are tangible, like speed, like execution, so I do try to look beyond goals and assists, obviously, time on ice and plus minus and stuff like that, like the old school numbers. I look beyond that to see who's about to break out, who's getting to those really good spots. But even I look at high danger chances, and I think there's value to high danger chances. But high danger chances, and I said this a lot last year. Not every high danger chance is created equal. High danger chance just comes from where on the ice you shoot the puck. And it is more likely that a puck is going to go in from 3 feet out than it is from 10 feet out. But that doesn't equate to a Connor McDavid shot is more likely to go in than a Connor McMichael shot. You know what I mean? It doesn't equate that fact. It doesn't take skill into account. So when I have Stefan Nason shooting from the outside versus Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier shooting from the outside, it's not equating that. It's not understanding that. And so I'm just looking at all the stats. So when I see that, and that was the other thing. Is it said that the Devils' fourth line got dominated last night. I was like, I didn't see that. What happened a couple times was the Tatar, Bastion, Dowling line would get a really good chance. They'd get stuck on the ice a little bit, and then the other team would get some chances on the other side. But I don't think that they were great chances. You know what I mean? They were just shooting the puck. They get a shot off of Markstrom, but it was a low danger chance. It was a one that he can easily save. I don't believe they were. Do you remember who was on the ice for that first goal against? I'm trying to remember. Either way, I don't think it was the fourth line. But you look at this thing called XG, which is it's basically a war in baseball, where it's have fun trying to calculate this. But even so, their XG for and XG against was kind of the same. So they're getting all these chances against them, but they're nothing burger chances. Yeah, there's a lot that's happening here. The one thing that I didn't like, I thought I had high hopes for the third line with Cotter, Glass, and who's the third person on that line? Cotter, Glass, and oh man, I'm drawing a blank.
You're having a lot of brain farts.
Well, you should help me. You're my partner. What's the third line?
What, Cotter, Glass? I don't know.
Those are the two I got already.
Is Plot on the third line, or is he on the fourth line?
He played up. Oh, it's Holla, right? It's Holla? Glass, Holla, did Holla play on the second line? Whatever. It doesn't matter. I expect a lot more of the Cotter and Glass pairing, and they didn't have a lot go against them, but the puck died when they were on the ice. And when you watch the game, the puck would go to Cotter a lot when that line was on the ice. and he mishandled it a couple times. He skated into traffic a couple times. He just got too excited when the puck was on his stick. And it led to, I don't even want to call them mistakes, just not the right play. You know, his turnovers.
Nascent. It's nascent, according to Steve Engel.
Oh, right. It's nascent. Okay. It's just like, you know, and that's the thing. Like, and that kind of goes to my point. To get offense out of Nason, you have to establish possession, slow it down, and get the right shot on net that causes a rebound that he's going to pot in. And it's just chaos when they're on the ice, but in a way that, like, it's like turnover to turnover, 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 like both ways, like giveaway to takeaway to giveaway to takeaway to giveaway to takeaway, and it's just not. It's very boring hockey. There's like nothing going on. So like I need them to kind of. I would love them to continue to play as well defensively as they're playing the Cotter, Nason, and Glass line, but I need a little offense. Like that's the problem.
I explained it on Devils After Dark. They're being too polite in front of the net. They've got to hit the goaltender physically. They've got to crash the goaltender. And if you crash,
I just feel like they haven't had time to even get there, like to establish that positioning.
Well, I think a lot of it is Carolina is kind of slowing them down, clutching and grabbing quite a bit and getting away with it. Will they get away with it in New Jersey? Like I said the last podcast, don't be classy. Don't be classy. Yeah. Go hard to the net. Oops, ask for forgiveness later. That's what the Florida Panthers do when they're down. It's amazing. Like, no one is, like, you can replicate that. What does Matthew Tkachuk, what does he do? If you're down 3-1, 4-1, he will stir the pot. And then all the focus is on Matthew Tkachuk, and that frees up the rest of the team. The Devils can do the same thing, but no one's willing to pay the price. And that bothers me. It bothers me no one's... I mean, Freddie Anderson's playing out of his mind because he can see everything. And all it takes... You may have to take a penalty, but weaponize your penalty kill. Your penalty kill has been good so far. It's been great all season. Weaponize the penalty kill, take more risks, and be more physical up front. And sometimes that's all it takes to throw the goalie off. That's why he's looking like a Conn Smythe winner right now. Freddie Anderson, because we're allowing him to see the puck.
He's had a couple lucky saves though, like the dive he had on, I think it was on Bastion. That was just luck. He just dove and prayed, and his prayers were answered.
Same with Markstrom. I mean, he had some remarkable saves, and also
but his are coming. Like he's getting into position and getting over it, and it's hitting him in the chest or like in his. Near the logo. Like Anderson's getting hit, like it's hitting off his elbow or it's hitting like near his skate. You know, he's just.
You're telling me that the puck is behind Markstrom, and he didn't. I mean, he's gotten lucky, Nick. He's gotten lucky. But sometimes you have to be good to get lucky. But he's been lucky, Markstrom. I'm not saying he's bad.
I'm trying to remember that play exactly. I'm trying to like how it got onto the line.
And then Brett Pesce has been very good as well, helping his.
Yeah, because even when that call it a mistake happened, Markstrom then fell to his right and put his arm back, telling me that he knew where the puck was. Right, because if he goes backwards, he's gonna push the puck into the net. He went to the right, to the right, and then put his arm back instead of. Like, your instinct is to go this way, right? To sweep backwards and to try to grab it. But he, like, did a swim move. And, you know, so, again, yes, I do think there's a lot of luck involved in this, right? And the Devils have had no luck this year. None. They've had zero luck this year. Because I don't know. They need to sage Prudential Center.
Let me tell you something. In the first period, I felt that the third period in game one and the first period in game two, you could see there are times where Carolina, they're not as confident as they were in the first two periods of game
Even a little
one.
desperate.
Yeah, that's why I hate sounding cocky, but I'm not impressed with Carolina, to be honest with you. I'm actually more disappointed in the Devils not finishing. They're doing a lot of things right, and it's not like Carolina is blowing them out either on the scoreboard. Now, Jacob Markstrom in game one was the only reason why the score was the way it was.
Sure.
The Devils, they gave up the empty netter in the end there. Same with game two. So those don't really count. And all it takes is just one lucky bounce, and this series could have been even, And Timo Meier even had a glorious chance in game one to try to tie it up. So
Yeah. No, this was... He just missed it, right? Like, or he shot it, hit the boards or something? Like, it didn't come close.
Yeah. I think it was the play where Anderson made the save. It's one of those lucky saves.
Oh, there was that one too. He had that one too. Yeah, he had
right place
one
at the
where
right time. He didn't know where.
I think he saved it with a stick, right? He had the stick behind him.
Yeah. So,
but that goes back to my point. Lift the freaking puck. If you lift that puck 2 feet off the ground, that's a goal.
Well, he's trying to lift. I mean, the game's so fast, Nick. I mean, look. I think what the Devils...
You make $9 million. Like, I don't know. You know how fast
I think, see, there lies the problem, because we're overanalyzing right now. What the Devils need to do is play the Canes game. Throw the puck on net, but you got to crash the net. And that's the problem. They're just simply not doing that. They're not doing it in a way where it's a disruption. They're going to the net, and at times maybe they're going hard to the net, but they're just not creating any of that chaos. Like, you don't go hard to the net without causing any chaos.
Yeah. Which is weird because they're doing it so well in between the dots. And when I say in between the dots, I mean from one face-off circle to the other in the middle. They're playing a really good forecheck. At least they did it yesterday. They had a really good forecheck that caused a lot of turnovers, even offensive zone turnovers, where they kept, they lost possession but then gained it back and made a play of it. And, that's where you want to take that philosophy and take it below the circle, right? You want to get in someone's face and, make life hard on them. I think that's the problem, is that when they have possession of the puck established in the offensive zone, they're focused so much on making life easier for themselves that they're not focusing on making life hard for the Hurricanes. And
I would agree with that statement. And, starting game 3, Devils have to take advantage of the first 10 minutes of that game. You're going to have an amped-up, drunk crowd because it's an 8 p.m. start. It's going to be a beautiful day on Friday. Right now, our plans at American Whiskey, I know Ted has asked me, are we doing the big stage? I believe we are not doing the big stage on Friday. We're doing it in the attic up at American Whiskey on the 3rd floor. But Sunday we will have the big stage. There are reasons for that, and but I think we're going to do the 3rd floor at American Whiskey, which I'll open up the window with the bullhorn and yell at you guys to come upstairs. And also, but the big stage will be Sunday. That's the plan.
And you know what? The Devils have. It's gonna be like a block party, right? In that Sunday game.
Yeah.
There's gonna be mad vendors, so like we're gonna be right in the middle of it all. And Sam, yours truly is gonna be there.
I heard. We'll have to work out the logistics. Also, Scotty will be there as well. for Friday and Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah,
And we're going to
I
ask
mean,
around some of our friends. I wonder how many people we can get on the podcast talk about it.
yeah. Well, yeah, for Friday, it's more of a logistical thing. I mean, if anybody's seen the big stage, like there's a lot of moving
Yeah,
parts to get it out there.
for sure.
Part of the problem is having the city shut down the street
Yeah.
before you can do it, and oftentimes there are cars, especially on weekdays, that are parked there, and we can't do anything till they leave, and everybody's
Uh,
searching for the driver. Whereas Sunday, it should be cleared out, and there should be no problems. Plus, possibly on Friday night, if we do Devils After Dark, it might rain. I checked it, 15%, 20%. And with all of our electronics out there, Nick, I don't want to chance it.
Yeah, no, and listen, if it's raining, like nobody's gonna be out there anyway. Everybody's gonna be running to the third floor, so that's where we want to be.
Oh yeah,
We want to be where the people are.
plus the player wives and girlfriends are going to be on the third floor on Friday too. Just a coincidence.
Ooh, have you seen a WAG jacket yet?
No, I have not. Is it out on social media?
I haven't seen the Devils one. I've seen a lot of them. Some are good, some are bad.
I
Maple Leaf one is pretty good.
maybe we'll debut it on Game Day Live on Friday.
That's what we need next year, Sam. We need a WAG jacket.
Yeah,
Mrs. Wu would look great in a WAG jacket.
absolutely.
Mrs. Villano would look great in a WAG jacket as well.
Absolutely.
And then there's a Mrs. Beer Baron, right? Is there a Mrs. Shorts guy?
There isn't a Mrs. Shorts guy, but I'm sure that she would wear a wag because wag could be a girlfriend.
Wives and girlfriends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, we know about Vinny, so he'll
that's
partake as
right.
well. Yeah, so we're
She needs a wag jacket.
WAG jackets.
You know what?
Let's
We
go
should have
Devils
wag jackets for this podcast. Wouldn't that be
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, listen, I bet you Spelunky would buy one.
Spelunky? I love Spelunky.
I think she would buy one.
She and I were in a Twitter war 2 years ago, like an absolute, debate.
Sam, I can't keep track of how many people you've had words with at this point.
Oh, that is true story. True story. And then there was one time, and I've told this story before, and you may remember. One time, she made a good point. I was like, oh, that's a good point. And that changed the entire dynamics. So anytime I see Spelunky, it's always a high five.
I've had a lot of wars myself, so I can't really make fun of you. But I think I've done the same thing where I've buried the hatchet on most of them. I have a lot of big opinions, and with big opinions come hurt feelings, and so I try to be. I've changed the personality of the blog and the Twitter account pretty precipitously because I just didn't. There's just too much negativity in this world that doesn't need to come from me. So I try to be a little bit more realistic and positive.
I'm going with the opposite approach. I'm usually a positive person, but I'm telling the Devils and the fans, don't be classy. You got to get in Freddie Anderson's head. As soon as you're in his head, we got the series. I was even thinking of dressing up like Brodeur, just to get in his head, be a distraction. Anyway,
we got a couple minutes left, so I want to pivot. Speaking of realistic and positive, let's talk about Jim Rutherford over in Vancouver. What were your initial reactions when you saw what he said, talking about maybe we acquire Luke and Jack Hughes to appease Quinn?
Well, we as a podcast have been following this for the last few months. On the Woo Report, we talked about his comments about 3 or 4 months ago, like kind of reading between the lines, which was, again, that was our first indication that something's up. The rumors about JT Miller but the facts are he was traded to the New York Rangers, Peterson, they suddenly have all the Petersons playing on one team now. I don't know what that's all about. But there's a lot of things going on in Vancouver. And I've been saying this for quite some time now that Rutherford, I think he's lost his mind in the last, 15 years doing this business.
It kind of seems that way, right? Like he used to be one of the smartest guys in the room, and now it's just.
Now he's like a kind of a grumpy old man that just doesn't care what he says.
Right, he just says what he feels like saying whenever he feels.
Yeah,
like
it's like, what the hell do I lose? I already got my cup. What are they gonna do? Fire me? Right. I'll just get another job and more money elsewhere. I mean, it's kind of like the radio business. If you're a good shock jock, you get fired. It's actually a promotion.
And I think something that people aren't talking about a lot. Like a lot of people are saying that this is him setting up the fan base for disappointment, right? Like it's like I can't compete with that unless I bring them here, right? And as someone who's written fake trades before, y'all are really bad at writing fake trades. Like all of y'all, all of the trades that I've seen, I actually helped John Bailey, who writes for Pucks and Pitchforks, but he also writes for a couple other sites. He writes for a Vancouver site. And I talked to him about one of his trades. And I was like, the only way this is going to work is to bring in a third team. Because Vancouver doesn't have anything the Devils want. You don't want Elias Pettersson. Like, it's just not, like, that's not a centerpiece. Like, you're acting, like, he makes $11 million a year, which makes him almost, like, worth nothing. Because he makes so much money. So, but he is worth a lot to another team, a different team. So I said, get Buffalo involved, right? And maybe Lindy Ruff gets some of the assets that he used to like. And then he gets Pettersson in Buffalo. He'll get Pettersson. I think what we end up talking about is that Lindy would get, or the Buffalo would get, Marcus and Elias Pettersson, a first-round pick, and some other piece. Vancouver would get Luke and Jack Hughes, and then the Devils would get Tage Thompson, Owen Power, Zach Benson, and JJ Paterka. And, like, when you're looking at, like, that's the only thing that's going to work, right? You're going to get 4 young assets. Power is replaceable in Buffalo because they got Dahlin. And you're getting Peterson. I don't know how to say Marcus's last name, but a guy who fits what they're trying to do better. You get Tage Thompson, he's similar to Jack Hughes, but he's similar in production, but is healthier, and he's been in the trade blocks before. I think he's just kind of like young and brash, and that doesn't always go well. But I think under Tom Fitzgerald and under Sheldon Keefe, that wouldn't really matter. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at like almost replacing those pieces the same way, and then maybe adding like a younger piece, just because Luke and Jack Hughes' ceiling is so much further away from where they already are. Like I said, that Jack Hughes' ceiling is like a middle class Sidney Crosby, right? He's not. I don't think he can be Sidney Crosby. Like Sidney Crosby is one of the best players of all time, but he plays a similar style, and he could be 85% as good as Sidney Crosby. And then Luke Hughes' ceiling is top 3 defenseman in the league, right? You're seeing Luke Hughes' ceiling in Quinn Hughes, but Luke Hughes is bigger. Like Luke Hughes is 6'1", and I think Quinn Hughes is 5'10". So he could be exactly what Quinn Hughes is, just in a bigger body, which is more desirable. So I think when you're talking about those trades, where like what the Devils would have to get back in a Luke Hughes and Jack Hughes trade, I just don't. Vancouver doesn't have the assets. They could send us 4 first-round picks. It doesn't, like, we don't want that. I do want to address one quick thing because it came up a lot. Luke Hughes cannot be offer sheeted this year. He is not eligible for an offer sheet. I wrote about it at Pucks and Pitchforks. Part of the rule of offer sheets. So technically, Luke Hughes is not a restricted free agent this year. by technical speaking. He is a 10.2.19, I think it's called, free agent, which is basically when a player does this thing where they basically, when you burn that first year of the entry level contract, which is happening more and more often, like that's the negotiating point of these top prospects, is they're signing at the end of their college season or the end of their OHL season, and they're burning that first year of the contract. And it usually sounds like it's really good for them because you're going to get paid faster, but you lose a little bit of leverage because you have to play, I think it's at least 10 games in each of those seasons to gain restricted free agent status, or the ability to sign an offer sheet after your entry level contract. And Luke played like 5 games that first season, I think. Played 2 regular seasons and 3 in the playoffs. And I don't even know if the playoff games count, to be honest with you. But he definitely didn't hit 10. So he is not eligible for a offer sheet. So Vancouver basically did this with no leverage. Like, they have nothing that they can even threaten the Devils with. They have nothing. Like, Jack Hughes is signed through 2030. Like, this is just this was a guy who I think is just sick of hearing about Quinn Hughes. This is a season where he had to talk about drama after drama after drama between Pettersson and JT Miller. They got rid of JT Miller. They got a pretty good return for him. They sent the most important part of that return to the Penguins for Pettersson, which I thought was stupid. But so they're sitting here with assets, but they got this. Their captain is quiet. He doesn't cause a lot of drama, but like, because his brothers are in the league, everybody is mocking him to New Jersey. And I think he just got sick of it. He said, stop mocking my guy there. Why don't you mock them here? And to his, I mean, I don't know. He put a bullseye on that team. And I think it's start over time in Vancouver. I think we could see Quinn traded this season or this offseason. I kind of think they would take less to just not send him to New Jersey, just because they don't want to deal with like that. They got like these guys care about their egos. They care about their image. So you don't want to make it seem like you just got put over a barrel and forced into it. Like, they'd rather trade him to Vegas, and Vegas has him for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then if and then Vegas is notorious for, what was it? Who was it? Hannafin. Noah Hannafin. Noah Hannafin was going to Tampa. He wanted to be in Tampa. That's the only team he wanted to play for. He was going to Tampa. He's going in free agency. There's nothing you can do about it. He got traded to Vegas. He's on an 8-year deal. So, things happen. I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. I am not saying that Quinn Hughes is here no matter what. Do I think he would love to play with his brothers? Sure. Do I think he would love $12 million a year more? Maybe. What's that worth to you? Because again, these guys are super duper stars, so they can plan to play with their brothers when they're in their late 30s, right? Like, Quinn Hughes could sign an 8-year deal, and he'll be like 35 at the end of it, 36 at the end of it, and he could plan to play with his brothers after that. So, I'm not signed, sealed, delivered. 27, 28 Devils and beyond are the trio of Hughes brothers for good. I think, and I do think that he gets traded, and I don't think it's going to be to the Devils. Some of the stuff I'm going to write, Sam, I am going to write like 5 teams who could beat the Devils to a Quinn Hughes trade. Vegas is one of them. I'm going to analyze all of the fake Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes trades that are out there just for funsies. And this is in between all of my playoff articles.
Very good.
So
you caught yourself.
Yeah. So Yeah, you're going to get a lot of stuff, and that's the plug, Sam. I'm going to plugs. Is that okay? Do you have anything else that you want to add before I plug?
Nope, nothing.
Okay, so on pucksandpitchforks.com right now, we have 3 overreactions from Jenny Streeter. She talked about last night's game. I wrote about 3 lineup changes that I want Sheldon Keefe to make. We have multiple angles of this Quinn Hughes drama. We have the newser. We talked about the tampering. I wrote an article about tampering, and Craig Patrick wrote an article about tampering. He wrote about why it should be tampering. I wrote about why it's nonsense that they said it's not tampering. So there's going to be a lot more on the Quinn Hughes stuff. There's going to be a lot more playoffs pieces coming out. You just go to puckspitchforks.com. We are nonstop. Oh, and I talked about Lou Lamoriello got let go. And he's 82 years old. I have to think this is the end. Do you want him to come back in any capacity?
If they fire Fitzy, I wouldn't mind.
I just mean like a special advisor role. I don't think there's any chance they fire Fitzgerald. I think they get I think they could lose the next 2 games 100-2, and they wouldn't fire him.
Can you imagine if the Boston Bruins hired Lou Lamoriello?
Did they never replace the GM? Do they have an open GM spot?
No, I'm just with everything that's gone on with the Bruins. They got rid of a lot.
But there's a lot going on there because they need a new coach. They just traded Brad Marchand. Does that mean you should trade Pasternak and just blow it up, or you gotta just try to retool?
Don Sweeney has been there for years, hasn't he?
Yeah. Wasn't Don Sweeney the one who traded Sagan?
I believe so.
So that was like 2017, I think. So it's been a while. What about you, Sam? You got anything to plug besides Game Day Live?
Well, Game Day Live is a big deal. I'll be at American Whiskey. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. I gotta distract Freddie Anderson. I want to lead the crowd and getting in his head. So, it should be a good time. I'm going to stick with my Devils in 7. It's going to be a fun road to get there.
I think it's going to get to 7. And I think that once you get to Game 7, nobody is going to have won a road game.
I don't know, Nick. So you're saying the Devils are going to lose this series?
That was my prediction.
Wow.
They lose in 7.
Wow. No, that doesn't give us any hope.
I just want wins. Give me some wins.
Wimpy thinks Buffalo needs Lou. I think they do. But I would. The only reason why I said Boston. The only reason why I said Boston is Lou's from the New England area. They might need him. Anyway. All right, I want to thank all those tuning in, dropping the podcast at midnight. Go to pucksandpitchforks.com for all your Devils needs as the playoffs continue. Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Devils Hurricanes will be live at American Whiskey, 51 Edison Place, across the street from Prudential Center, next to Championship Plaza. Till next time, let's go Devils.